everyone, it is Susie, and I hope everybody is doing well. I made these little journals, and I promised I would do a tutorial on how I did the binding. These are the simplest journals I have ever made, the quickest. There's not a lot to them. They're just mainly for journaling. That's what I wanted them to be. So I'm going to show you how I made the little binding. The first one I did, I actually did like a 1/2 inch, and I didn't like the, I didn't care for how much I had in my binding. So on the second one, I actually did it just a little bit smaller, and it worked out a whole lot better. See if I can get over here. I don't have much at all. Yeah, 1/4 of an inch. So it worked out a whole lot better, and I didn't have quite so much binding showing. So I'm going to show you how I did that. And like I said, this is the easiest journal I have ever made. The quickest and the easiest. So now you can, I am going to stitch it on my sewing machine, but you can easily do it with your 3-hole pamphlet stitch or 5-hole pamphlet stitch. I'm sure it would all work out the same. But what I do is I just grab some papers, and I tried not to get super thick, but I did want at least, and I may have gotten a little bit too thick here. I wanted to arrange my papers just kind of, let's see, I know those 2 papers, I got a little bit too much there. So let's see here. I used 1 bag is all I've used in this, but I put this, I actually sew in a middle signature after I have made my little spine here on this paper. So let me see here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and I probably want about 8 papers is what I probably want. So I'm gonna, let's see, I'm gonna take 1 out. Okay, yeah, that feels like a good thickness to go. If you get too many, you can't really run it through the sewing machine very good. Okay, so what I did is I've got my papers, and I have, now I forgot how many I said, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I've got about 8 papers there. And I'm just going to take this first one, and what I'm going to do is I am going to find my center, which we know this is an 11. It's an 8.5 by 11 piece of paper. So I'm going to kind of get it centered up, and that would be 5.5 to the center. And then I'm just going to draw a line on each side of that center mark, and that's about a 1/4 inch total. So same way here, I'm just going to even this up, because sometimes it seems like the paper is just a little off from 11. I think a lot of it is where I've tea stained the paper and ironed it. It has drawn it up just a little bit, so I'm still finding that center, and that was at 5.5, and then I want to put a mark on each side of it so that it's just a 1/4 of an inch, and there's an 1/8 inch on each side of that center mark. Okay, and then so what I'm going to do is I'm going to just draw my line. I'm going to draw a straight line here from one to the other, because those are what I'm actually going to sew on. And I'm going to put my line there, and then the 1/4 inch line, I mean the center line here. Okay, so what I have is I have center and an 1/8 over, I've marked a line, and an 1/8 over, I marked a line, and then I just brought it down and did the same thing. So anyway, that will keep me straight on my sew lines, or as straight as can be. You know, you're always going to have a little bit off. So then what I did is I just took a couple of these little clips. You can use paper clips or whatever you like to hold your paper shut with. Some of them like the little binder clips, but I'm just using these little fabric quilts. You can find them in the fabric department at Hobby Lobby or probably Joann's. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and get on the machine, and I'm going to sew down both outer lines. I'm not going to sew my center line yet, but I'm going to sew both my outer lines, okay? And then I'll be right back and I'll show you what I've done. Okay, so I'm back, and you can see that I've just sewed on my two outer lines. Now, I did have to put, and I find it's to be a lot easier if you will put your sewing machine on the longest stitch possible when you're sewing through this many layers of paper. It doesn't seem to perforate it like it does if you have the little bitty stitch. So that's just a tip, you know, that I've kind of learned along the way. So I'm going to take those little binder clips off, and then this is what's making the signature right here. I mean the spine right here, and you can see it's a 1/4 inch spine. And then what I ended up doing was I took about, I don't know, 3 or 4 sheets of paper just to make a little center with a bag, and that is what I have done. And I may add one more piece of paper. Okay, this is a nice dark one, and that gives me 4 pieces of paper. Now, what I had done in those is I actually made the center just a little bit smaller. I wanted it to just, I don't know, just be a little bit smaller. Now, you don't have to do that, but that's just kind of what I did. I wanted it to be a little bit smaller than the rest of the journal. So, just going to cut through those layers there. And then I'm going to cut a little bit of the bottom off. I can get it in there. Now I'm not making it a whole lot smaller, but I am just making it a little smaller than the rest of the book. Okay. Oops. Okay, so I have that, and oops, I may have to cut a little more off. It isn't a whole, it isn't, oh yeah, that'll work. That looks good. Yeah, that'll work. Okay, so it is a little bit smaller than the rest of the book, which is what I like. And then in order to keep my bag from moving on me, if you'll use just, not a real sticky tape, but just this is some sticky thumb. I actually got this at Tuesday morning quite some time ago. But I just put a little tiny bit, and what that does is it just holds that bag in place. I mean, I'm still going to be able to remove it because this stuff just kind of rolls off. When you do it with your finger like that, it'll just kind of roll off, but it will hold it in place for me when I sew the signature in, instead of me having to try to hang on to it and make sure it gets where I want it, and so forth. So it's too short to put the clips on it. You can't clip it. It's just one of those things that you're just kind of stuck if you don't have a way to get it to hold down for you. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take this little center part and I'm going to sew it in with my machine as well. And this is why I like the pencil marks, because I mean, I can see where I need to start and I can see where I need to end down here. And I can just start right on there and come down, and I can tell I'm going straight off and I'll come right to that other mark. So I'm going to go sew this in really quick and then be right back. Okay, so here we go. We are right back in, I'm going to scoot this over just a hair. I had to kind of scoot it over for my sewing machine. So, but anyway, here we go. There's my center sewn in. And as you can see, my bag stayed attached, so I'm just going to pull that off. And I'm just going to take my finger and rub that. It just kind of rolls off in a little ball. And then I can go back here and I can do the same thing. Just get that rolled off of there. That little adhesive. And there we are. And you can see my spine right there. Looks like I have a little more in the back than I do the front, and that's okay. I can see my pencil line, but that's okay. And I'm just going to kind of erase that line with my eraser. All right. Okay, so there is our spine right there. There's our spine. And then what you will want to do is on this one was my first one. And I actually just took the paper and I opened it up like this. And I simply collaged this side and this side while it was flat. But on my second one, I didn't collage. And I actually ended up with a little thicker, almost like a thicker cover. So I kind of liked it. And that's the way I'm going to do this one. I'm actually going to paper it both sides. So it's actually 3 layers. Where this one is just 1 layer really of paper and then my collage. That was on it. So, and then this one, it kind of rounded the spine. It kind of made a little round since I did it, you know, 1/2 inch, or it might be a 1/4 inch on each side is what it ended up being for a 1/2 inch total. But it just didn't work as well, I don't think. I mean, it still worked out okay, but the cover is just not as thick. So, okay, so what I went and did, and I'm not gonna actually put this together, but I'm just gonna kind of show you what it was that I had done. I cut me a piece of coffee dyed fabric. This is kind of like a thicker muslin, and I kind of just ripped it is what I did, the size of the spine. And after I had decorated the cover, or you can do it before, I simply just glued it down, all the way down my my spine with a little hangover, you know, for the cover. And it just made a perfect little spine. You'd never know it was only just made out of paper. So that's just kind of fun. So what I had done on my one using the 3 layers is I put a layer of this little Sagita grungy paper here and textured paper that you just crinkle up, and I put it here, and I of course decorated my cover. Now this is a 49 Market stitched frame is what it's called. It came in a package of several sizes. I don't know, there was like 6 frames in a package, and they are on my Amazon favorites list. If you're wanting to go over and check it out, that's what it's on there. And but anyway, I put the layer here, and then I just went ahead and collaged the front. But then I took another layer and I put it on the back side. So it actually gave it like a 3-layer of paper plus, you know, your image, and if you're using a photo frame or whatever you're using. So anyway, that's what just give it that extra that little extra thickness. So anyway, guys, that's pretty much it. I mean, just get you a little piece of fabric to kind of, or lace or whatever it is you want to cover your spine with, and you're good to go. I mean, it's ready to decorate, and it's ready to go. No having to mess with chipboard, you know, no having to mess with a whole lot of anything. It's one of the easiest journals I have ever made. So easy peasy, guys. I'm going to decorate this up, and I'll catch you in the next video. Have a great day.